For the wait, let's get right back into it. We're gonna help Gina not be found guilty of murder. But first we have to do a little bit of investigating, I suppose. At the Windibanks. Man, I don't remember the voice of anybody I was doing. Here we are again, at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. What's up, Gregson? Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest.
Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers.
Your ladyship. How? I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is.
I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue.
Glup, 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 glup. Ah, lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, yes. I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime, then? Do as you please. You know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Oh, I'm going. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windibank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap up this before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there are so many articles to go through, it's taking forever, even with the lads working around the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Alright, noted.
Come then. Let us not waste any time.
Susato, why must you be leaving us? Yeah, I'm just gonna go straight to the door, I guess. I don't know if any of this is necessary.
Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said.
Yeah, let's take a look, right? Or no? Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. I mean, really, anybody could have shot Mr. Windibank through that little window, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Gina. Mr. Windibank face down on the floor with Gina beside him.
As the accused legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation.
Yes, of course. And we will. Behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime.
Don't worry. If there are any clues there, I'll find them.
Thank you, Iris. I guess the smashed stuff on the floor isn't important to me. I want to look at this calendar, though, for sure. Ah, look here.
Oh yes, a bullet hole. And I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall.
Presumably Mr. Windibank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time.
Ah, well. Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that.
Sorry?
It's all there in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Ah, did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps.
In jest?
Well, he doesn't do it often. It's quite a dangerous pastime.
He doesn't do it often? He shouldn't even do it once.
Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet.
What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? A suspicious red stain on the calendar.
Aha! I may well be able to help with that.
What?
There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo?
I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris.
I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types.
Yes, what a scientific observation.
So you need this.
Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing?
Hurley and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet, but As soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does.
Well, Sherlock Sholmes used this in episode 2, right?
Watch.
Oh. Oh. Neat. The color of the bloodstain has changed.
There. Does it make sense now?
Yes, I think I'm starting to understand. But it just reacts to blood.
Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see?
Yes, how wonderful.
The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color. So you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at in a flash.
Okay, so it changes to a different color depending on the blood type. Understood, understood.
Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Jenny would say it's bleeding great.
So, whose blood are we looking at then?
Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different color, so just find someone whose blood turns the same color, and you'll know who it belongs to in a flash.
Okay. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? Yeah. 1 flash or 2. This could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So we must make a note of it in the court record. Alright. Let's keep testing and adding the result of any other blood analysis to the portfolio.
As long as I have reagent left, sure.
Well, hopefully you don't run out of that reagent. Probably don't need to compare... But, well... This had an animation earlier. Yeah, I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again.
Oh yes! That's a folding stereoscope!
Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Sholmes showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used the great big contraption over there.
Ah, well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints that you can use in them. I have a little collection myself.
I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Wait, it would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean. What? What? I don't understand what you mean by that. Yeah, anyway. Looks like there's a photo here. The cat, yeah. There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Windibank's notes, and... What's this? It looks as though someone has left a little photographic print behind.
Oh, look at the back. There's some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Susie. Show us.
15th of February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April, 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1? Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think... Yeah, it's the coat that Gina was here for.
Yes, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Jenny redeemed yesterday.
And is still wearing, which belonged to Mr. McGilded. I would never have expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though.
It seems Mr. Windibank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have at hand.
Yeah, makes sense. But this photograph of a cat, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact same picture somewhere else recently.
Oh, yes, you're right. Very recently. It's the same as the one Jenny gave us earlier.
Of course. I was forgetting that she gave us that print. Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out. All right. Let the cogs turn. Yes, they're exactly the same. Well, if the one on the counter was used as a redemption ticket, perhaps the other photograph that Gina gave us has something written on the back too. Well, more officially, it looks like you could use those in a stereograph. I don't know why we would have to, but it's definitely an option.
I've got it. These 2 photographs hide an amazing secret.
A secret? What does she mean?
You must tell us, Iris, at once. Do you really want to know?
Yes, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. Let's do it. So Iris, about these two photographic prints. The one we found here on Mr. Windibank's counter and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these two identical prints?
Actually, that's not quite right.
Sorry?
If you look carefully, the two prints aren't the same. Not exactly.
They're not?
Have another look at them now.
Yeah, the cat's head is moved very so slightly. Yeah, well, and its body.
Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other?
I think so. It's very subtle, though.
But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the two prints? Oh, well, it's because they're a set, you see.
No, I don't. Well, I do, but...
This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment.
Ah, stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard that word before recently?
Oh, yes. That's what Mr. Shome showed us yesterday.
We literally just talked about this.
You see? There it is just over there.
Ah, yes, of course. That magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. They really were trying to run with the 3DS's 3D capabilities, huh?
Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions.
What? Really?
Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, wonderful! Then I'll be able to tell you.
She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene.
I, for one, simply have to know.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Can I just look in the court record myself? Nope. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to talk to her. Okay, let's do it.
Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us?
Well, it's because we have two eyes. Well, I just opened them and it works.
But the reason it works is because we have two eyes.
Is that not literally what I just said? Two eyes. Shocking.
If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye and what you see with your right eye are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye.
Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly.
Exactly. And in your head, your brain uses that to shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can see depth in everything. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see.
Huh, my brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me.
Ah, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick.
So, if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints?
Yes, Runo. You're beginning to understand.
And a stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that.
Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all.
You can? Really?
Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope.
Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go. Susada-san really loves this kind of thing.
You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that?
Cross my eyes? I think I can.
Watch me and see if you can copy.
Holy shoot.
Make your eyes do this.
All right, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
There, how's that? Wonderful! Now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time.
Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Oh my god.
Alright, that's enough practice. Now, let's try looking at the prints. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. You should see two overlapping images like this. You try now, Runo.
I'm just gonna have to give it a try, I suppose.
Did the print split into two images for you? Now, the next step is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and then to try crossing your eyes again. The prints should slowly merge together until they form a new single image in the center. Oh yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works! I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. Oh, I could look at it all day.
What's the thing to do Steam screenshots? It's F11, F12, something like that. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna keep that for later.
Your turn, Runo.
Wow, they're really going through the whole thing of like how to do this.
Pretend you're looking through the two pictures and slowly cross your eyes.
Yeah. It made a single image in the center for sure. Let me make sure I'm looking straight on, right? Yeah, I mean, it's happening.
Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlap exactly in the middle.
Like this, is it? Oh man, this is quality content. The issue is, all I'm really doing is making the right image go over to the left. Oh wow. Yeah, I did make it look 3D, like, exactly perfectly, but I can't tell the secret that it wants me to see. Other than the fact that it looks like the cat's not even part of the image at all. But, yeah, that's totally working. Anyway.
There, you managed it! So now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary.
Thank you, Iris.
So, what did you think of these stereoscopic sprints then, Runo?
They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly.
No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here.
Obviously, I shouldn't have even looked at it beforehand.
Then set the pair of photographs in this stand at the back, and...
It's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. Yeah, I'm not really sure if there's like a secret.
Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently.
But if these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them.
But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case.
Stereoscopic pictures, I'd never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. Oh. Okay, cool. So now I've got the second one. Which reminds me, the back of this photograph was used to write out the pawnbroker's ticket that Gina bought in here yesterday. And the other photograph came from the pocket of McGilded's overcoat.
We need to examine everything thoroughly, don't forget.
Alright, this was the first one, right? Oh. Well, this is a little bit different, isn't it? Look on the back of this print here. There's something written on it.
13th February, 9 p.m. Article deposited, 1 small box. Loan amount paid, 10 shillings. Redemption deadline, 13th of April, 9 p.m.
No, that's not the voice I was doing for her. So this photographic print is a redemption ticket?
For an article that was deposited 2 days prior to the incident on the omnibus, it would seem.
Yes, a small box. That doesn't tell us much about it, does it?
Perhaps it contained some valuable mementos. I can't help wondering. Presumably, Mr. McGilded never redeemed the article in question, since he still had the ticket. So, isn't it possible that the box is still present somewhere in the shop?
Ah, yes! If it's something McGilded deposited, we need to investigate. Alright. But it would be something already up for sale because the deadline is passed. So it's not going to be in the storeroom. It's going to be out here somewhere. So don't mind me as I look for it. In fact, I think it's this cool looking thing right here, right?
These shelves are where the pawnbroker put articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy.
Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example?
Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know. Are you alright, Runo?
Oh, it's just, well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them, even that horse statue.
That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever.
Dude, I love going to these types of shops and just finding random stuff. It's really, really great. Okay, but apparently I can't examine anything more to do with that. So, is there not a small box that I need to look at anymore? Oh, you know though, this print did have some blood on the back that I need to probably get examined.
Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something rather troubling here.
I have noticed.
The red smear, you mean?
Yes. It looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case...
Yes, we need Iris.
We should show this to her before we forget. Gotcha. Iris! Hello, hello. We need to talk to you about a certain photograph. More specifically, the blood on the back.
Oh, that looks like blood.
It is. I would say it's from a gloved finger, almost certainly a glove made of leather.
Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me.
I love her goggles. I want a pair of those. Oh, it's purple. Alright. Look at that.
Yes, that's a color we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colors correspond to at some point.
Well, this particular stain of blood...
Oh, you've had an idea, have you? Do you know whose blood this is?
I think I do. Yes, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the color it turned, but with a little deduction.
That's right. I think it's clear.
Iris, you know as well?
You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to?
Alright, I believe that this is the blood of the thrice-fired mason. Most likely. Oh, wait, no. Yes. 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 Yes? His first name is Pop? I didn't even know that. I'm gonna say thrice-fired mason.
You don't sound very sure of yourself the way you trailed off there.
Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course I'd never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though.
The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. But that would mean that this blood stain was left on the ticket 2 months ago.
Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windibanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the blood stain was already on it at that time.
So it's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night.
Yeah, though, which is why I said it was thrice-fired Mason.
May I ask is, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand.
It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark. But we know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes.
Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope.
Yes, I think you're right, Bruno. Very well. Let's make a note of this.
Excellent. So purple corresponds to thrice fired, probably. Oh. Good, good. Now, is there anything else that I need to examine in this room? I'm not sure if the bobbies would be particularly helpful, but I guess I'll talk to one just to see. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the look of it. Instructions from the yard are to examine every article in the shop and every ledger and book of accounts. Every article? But that's a ridiculous amount of work, surely. We've been hard at it ever since the shop was declared a crime scene in the early hours. We're sifting through it all in the shifts at least, but still. We'll be working through the night, that's for sure. And even then we'll barely have scratched the surface. A crime in a pawnbroker's. It must be every policeman's worst nightmare. It's every copper's worst nightmare, you know? A crime in a pawnbroker's. Thank you for confirming my thoughts. Wait, let's move to the storeroom, I guess? It seems like the next important place to go. Ooh boy. There's a lot of stuff back here. Poor Iris. She's clammed up completely.
Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windibank's life was taken in this very room only last night.
Oh, hello. Ah! Wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do ya? Well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me, you were running away from a 10-year-old.
I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector.
Ah! Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? Oh my god, Gregson! I don't think that went very well. Why? Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine, and I told you not to get under my feet.
And we have investigating to do ourselves.
Yes, I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say.
Oh, Hurley.
And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes' operation is going. Oh boy. You are just... You have no idea how to talk to kids, do you? So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here? Sure! You've got eyes, haven't you? Use them! It is what it looks like. Nothing more, nothing less. Iris, could you lend me a hand?
So, Grexy, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Oh yes, your ladyship. Do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, at shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard police attended the scene. The one and only door to this room was found locked from the inside. So, it was locked from the inside?
The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officer's doing?
Quite right, ma'am, quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in as humbly as possible.
Oh, as you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the floor, thuswise, and next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child. Are you talking about Jenny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector. Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor, dead to the world. She's still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious. And I'm afraid to say, she had the gun that was used in her hand. She had the gun that was used in her hand. No! Okay, so that gun was used. Huh. Presumably, it's the gun that's still on the floor right now. In her pocket, we found the key to the door as well. What? The key to the storeroom? Why would she have that? And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector? Correct. All of which leaves her ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding. Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is. Grexy, do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he? The thing is, Don't mince your words, Inspector, please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is his... No. The operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well... Out with it! Yes, ma'am. They use something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing. It renders the whole body insensitive. The whole body anesthetized? Is that even possible? It means the operation can be completed while the patient is fast asleep. Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction. The trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. They couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off, or so I hear. And now that the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently. Oh my! No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in his system, or if the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes round again. Hurley. The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I shall get word to you. What a surprise. Even in the matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. Alright, that wasn't terribly important information. But obviously, yeah, let's look at some bloodstains. The police have marked the position of the body with a chalk line. Poor Mr. Windibank. He was a nice old man. Well, he was shot just once through the heart. Most likely, the fellow died instantly. He wouldn't have felt a thing. This must be his blood, then. Ah! I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action! Oh, a nice blue. So, now we know the color the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windibank's blood. And it doesn't match our analysis of the bloodstain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add the sample to the others we've already collected anyway. Beautiful. We've just gotten a few different colors now. Yeah, I've got to look at the gun, of course. This is a revolver, a real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windibank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Renault look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh. And I've had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Windibank with this yesterday, didn't we? Oh, yep, there it is. I shall have to take my own life. It must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand. Mr. Windibank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in his gun has been fired.
so we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Begs the question, though, where is a bullet hole? I definitely don't see an obvious one anywhere. Anyway. Out of all the articles in this storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Ah! What is it, Iris?
That's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in.
Oh. Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all this...
Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. We must check inside the box at once. Yes.
Oh, there they are. Iris is tall for a 10-year-old. I feel like 10-year-olds shouldn't be that tall. Huh. She's more like 12 or 13.
It was there. Iris's story was there.
Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris?
Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he'd said he'd deposited it here, but still, it's a relief to actually see it.
Really? Because that's not a very well-hidden frown. Oh, now it's added to the court record. Interesting. Yeah, Iris doesn't seem to be at all happy about that. But I'm wondering why. Yep, written by Iris Wilson. Yeah, it's a pretty big manuscript, but I don't see anything terribly crazy here. Unless there's like invisible ink being used. But I don't think so. The Hound of the Baskervilles. How did Susato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she just knows my thoughts, somehow. But anyway, that's enough of that. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else in here I really need to look at? Oh, what's over here? Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them.
I can't believe how many there are.
A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings, look. Pieces of different people's lives quietly gathering dust in here together. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policemen shuffling around. Not much I can do about that, sunshine. Yeah, this doesn't have a check mark on it, so let me just make sure. Iris?
Don't worry, I'm alright. But we must find the true culprit. Yes, absolutely.
Alright. I'm pretty sure that's everything I need to look at in here. You don't have anything more for me. Can I present you with stuff? Maybe the blood samples? Inspector Gregson, could you give me your opinion about this? We don't tend to share, sunshine. Not with the general public. Ugh.
In that case, Gregsy, how about some herbal tea?
Ah, lovely. Tar very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. You don't mind sharing that, then? Alright. There doesn't seem to be anything else I can get from you. Back to the main shop, then. Really, what else do I need to talk about and do here? The court record seems pretty much handled. Oh, it keeps pictures! Woohoo! Very cool. Yeah, the representation papers, of course. And there's nothing else that I can examine here, apparently. Alright. Shall we examine things? Yes, no, maybe so? I just don't think there's anything else that's useful to examine. such that I can see. Well, maybe I need to move somewhere else. Well, alright. Maybe I'm just missing something obvious. I'm gonna go ahead and look at everything.
That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo?
Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan.
Oh, well, this'll be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound?
It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks.
Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregsy to have a word.
Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. What a cutie patootie, though. That ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? It must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn.
It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head, if you ask me.
But clearly Mr. Winnebank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care. I mean, I'll say. Yeah, there's nothing else super useful to look at, huh? Whoops, that's... Yep. This is that strange contraption that lets you see pictures or things as if they're right in front of your eyes. It makes you think. When Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. True. True, true, true. So where else do I need to go exactly? So, I know in the Phoenix Wright games, if you go back to your office, you can talk to your assistant about what you need to do, but apparently not right now. Yeah, I doubt there's anything I need to look for here. Can I go back to the hospital? I can. Oh, but there's nothing new here. Well, I must be missing something here. Is that what I think it is? Your ladyship's latest.
Yes, my latest story. It's called The Hound of the Baskervilles.
A most fascinating title, your ladyship. Fascinating. And, I don't suppose... Will there be any mention of my humble self in the tale this time?
Good question. I can't really remember.
I see. Well, why would you, your ladyship? I'll just await its publication with eager anticipation. You needn't worry, Inspector. I'm sure if you do appear, you won't be doing anything particularly remarkable. You looking to be arrested, Sunshine? I didn't mean it like that, and even if I did, you wouldn't have bitten her ladyship's head off, would you? I've got to be missing something obvious here. It usually is something obvious with these games. Is there another bloodstain I can look at? Probably not. I don't think so. Well, I'll just make sure to examine everything, just because I can. Also, you don't have anything more for me, right? No. I like that there's a picture of a dog on the counter. Very cute. I hope it's a dog of one of the developers or something. Alright, Bobby. This police officer has been staring intently at the wall since before we came in here. Sure, keep it down. Oh, sorry. There's a major clue just here.
Really? Then we must tell Gregsy at once.
But as soon as I report it, that'll be it. I'll be stuck here even longer. Stuck here? What do you mean? I haven't been home in 2 days already. I need another constable to relieve me and take over my shift. They really have a tough time, the British police.
That doesn't stop us investigating, though, does it?
No, I suppose not. I'm fairly sure it was the calendar he was appearing at. Yeah, we already looked at that. Am I supposed to look again? Green blood. It just seems wrong somehow.
Oh, there are all sorts of different colors. There are pretty pinks and purples too, you know? Like I said, everyone's blood is different.
I wonder what color my blood would turn out. Actually, I don't want to know. What if it just turns a blood red? Like, would you even know then? Or would you just... whatever. Maybe I should move outside the shop and take a look around. There's a carriage here now. Don't remember you being there. There's still a Scotland Yard carriage outside Windibanks.
I never imagined we'd be investigating a case so close to home.
Poor Iris. She's very upset by all this. I'm sorry. I was there. I should have done more.
None of this is your fault, Runo, so please don't apologize.
But
It's the criminals who are to blame for all this, so let's investigate and work out how to catch them.
Yes, you're right. Can I look down an alley or something? No, I guess not. Yeah, I guess that's already looked at. I like the music in this area. Very pleasant. It's already been 2 months that we've been taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
When Hurley comes back home, let's have a big party.
That's a great idea. I'm sure it won't be too long. Mr. Sholmes is very tough.
Yes.
Okay. So, again, I ask you, where the heck do I go? Do I need to talk to Ginny again? Apparently, yes. Gina doesn't appear to be here. Oh, never mind then.
I believe she must be in questioning at the moment. Oh, but wait a minute.
What is it, Iris?
Well, if you examine the scene here carefully, there's another possibility, isn't there? Ginny could have slipped the key from the jailer when he wasn't looking and escaped.
Oh my. Why would she do something like that? It would only make her situation worse.
Calm down, Bruno. I was only joking, of course.
We hope. Anything could happen in all actuality. Oh, you had me worried there. I thought it was a great deduction.
Yes, it must be your way with words, Iris. You're so wonderfully persuasive. Perhaps you don't fully understand the weight your words carry. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I suppose a light-hearted great detective is a contradiction in terms.
Well, in the same situation, I'm sure Mr. Sholmes would have just thrown his head back and guffawed.
I'm not entirely sure that's helpful, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, anyway, it looks like we won't be able to talk to Gina for a while. We should try to make progress with our investigation in the meantime.
Yes, come along then, Runo. Come along, Susie.
Alright, bye, I guess. I really just don't know where to go next, though. Sholmes is sweet. But, yeah, there's nothing here really to get on about. Beautiful. Now I can stop licking my lips. I don't know what all I need to show you, if anything. Yes, 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 the tea. Okay. Not helpful. Right. One small box. Do I still need to find that? Can you help me out with this? No, you cannot help me out with this. Oh, wait, maybe you can. Oh, what we have here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket for McGilded's overcoat. The one the little diver turned up with you yesterday. Oh, actually no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do you? No, I didn't mean to,
Bruno's right, Grexy. It isn't the same ticket.
Of course it isn't, of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So, what's all this about then, if I might be so bold as to ask?
This is a second ticket.
A second one? It seems that Mr. McGilded in fact had another article in storage here at Windibanks. Is that right?
I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. Okay, so this is what I was missing. Beautiful. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilded's overcoat. You mean to tell me? Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems. I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly.
Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilded deposited another article here with Mr. Windibank.
Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it?
Do you have any idea where it is, Grexy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please, stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes, all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. I'll lose me marbles, I will. I'll go barking. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector. Wow. I love that after he takes a bite, he just shakes it and it all gets magically recreated. That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There is one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it?
Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here then?
That's right. It's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale.
Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time.
Oh.
There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. That information's not written in the ledger.
Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old. Okay, but I already knew that. Why didn't it just let me, like...
I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windibank set such a wicked trap?
I doubt he set out to scare anyone.
Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon.
Oh?
Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind.
Okay, but I have the papers, so come on.
Don't you remember, Bruno? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be her lawyer.
Really? Did I say that?
Yes, you did. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching.
In that case, we better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. I guess I'm not going to get a chance to look for the box, which is almost definitely this one here, right?
Yes. This is where all the items that have been forfeited by their original owners are offered for sale. That's right. They've all got little price labels on them, but there are so many.
I wonder if the small box this ticket was for is still on the shelf somewhere. The box that McGilded deposited here just over 2 months ago.
Even if it were, finding it promises to be very troublesome indeed. There are so many boxes. It could be any one of them.
Mr. Shum said that a pawnbroker's was the safest place to store anything, more secure than a bank's vault. So perhaps this small box of Mr. McGilded's contained something of very great value.
Well, if that's the case, he'd probably have kept it locked.
So then we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open.
Yeah! That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen.
Ah, this takes me back. It's been some time since Susato-san last threw me. Are you beginning to enjoy it now? Or, like, what's that about? Anyway, to the prison! Alright. Ah, Gina, good, you're back. Ah!
The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Jenny? Was it awful? Eh? Oh, didn't bother me.
Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windibanks.
Oh, right.
It's so tsundere.
Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not...
Gina, we came to ask for your final decision.
Huh? What decision?
About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not?
I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see.
She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear.
Oh. Oh, all right then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it?
Unfortunately, we don't know that yet.
You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you're innocent of this crime.
And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know now why you broke into Windibanks that night. Looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason and thrust it in Gina's face. Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose. Yeah, come on. You broke in for this. We found this in Mr. Windibank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story.
Oh, right. That's good then.
Curiously, the storeroom at Windibanks showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night?
Eh?
You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it?
Ah!
Why don't you tell us what happened, please?
Alright, yeah. This Baskervilles story, it's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet, so I figured it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right?
That's not why you did it.
Oh yes, at least £5,000.
What? So, you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you?
No, Jenny, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I wasn't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript, or whatever you call it, was really there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris's sake, isn't that right?
We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did.
But... I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Jenny. I just knew it. Well,
When I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you'd said the night before.
Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced lies, a lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windibanks. You'd soon see if you'd had a look.
Well, I'm glad you ended up being wrong.
If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean, that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Jenny, that was so sweet of you. All right. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It won't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest? If he'd really deposited the manuscript at Windibank's? It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got a dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's gotta be harder. That's why she writes the stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway. Last night, when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about Daddy? You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner? Well, that's how I see it, yeah. You're so thoughtful and so kind, Jenny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I hate all this chummy nonsense. Do you hear? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work. Because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scarper. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of that overcoat are some very suspicious red stains. What? What are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Oh? Oh. Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina, they're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet. What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo? You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So, could it be blood that spattered from Mr. Windibank when he was shot last night? Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get his results much faster than anything else. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Jenny. I'm going to shoot. Oh. That's all purple. Oh. Oh my. What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course. The black colored fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now. And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes. Now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha! Yes. It was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. Well, what are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? Well, definitely McGilded killed the man, so... Ugh. It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Will someone care to explain what's going on? Stop telling half the story. Well, yeah, obviously. We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's overcoat. But in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said in his testimony... Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I already started to give the man a hand. But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from Mr. McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet. No. If that is what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, Magnus McGilded. And I tried my best to defend the man. Mr. Naruhodo,
That horrible case is solved at last. And I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen?
Bruno, did you believe in him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent?
I believed, or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon.
A weapon?
Oh, we're gonna get very, very dramatic. Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson.
You mean Kazuma-sama?
Listen, Rinosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie. Which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief. Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina?
Cool. Sounds like, in this empire of Japan you come from, everyone must be soft. Well, come on. Look at the mess it's got you into, believing in that bog trotter.
Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free.
Well, at least you've learnt your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let your guard down, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one, get hurt by no one.
I don't like that.
Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away.
Are you really sure that's what you want?
I bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in the last trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
A lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. Abso-freaking-lutely. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial.
Are you half-baked?
Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? Once more, I believe that you're telling me the truth.
Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo. Didn't you hear all of what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off my tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it.
Well,
Gina, I do understand why you chose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you, there's more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down.
It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience, but I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side.
What do you expect me to say that? Then it's decided. I will take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You Eastern Lauder. I don't know what you are. I don't get you.
Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out alright in the end, I think.
Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice.
Mr. Sato?
Somebody is there in the shadows. I can scent it. Somebody who wasn't there before.
What? Blimey, a shop, huh? Oh, hello. I suppose you were using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector.
Grexy!
Oh dear me. I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you.
How long have you been listening in on our conversation?
Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived, this very minute, not a moment earlier.
That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all.
After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship.
Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye and bye and bye and bye.
That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship.
Oh, but I wanted to have a chat.
I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute.
Oh, I see. That's a shame.
If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharpish, Lord Strongheart will, well...
Emergency?
Lord Strongheart? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off.
Alright, Grexy, if you have to. But let's chat soon.
Delighted. Charmed. Can't wait. If you please. My pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere.
Grexy's so funny. He says such silly things.
It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. Fawning? Fawning? It's simping. Come on. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court.
I must attend to the court clerk's office now before it closes.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Mr. Sato.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later.
And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving. Leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan.
Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it?
I do hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today's been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested, all on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon.
Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow.
One final task? What are you talking about?
It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. I'm so sorry, Susato-san. It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts.
I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something.
And what would that be?
It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities.
Facets?
And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do these facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live.
That's so true.
Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear.
that all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san. I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's just been 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry? I've what? Oh, no, it was nothing. Unimportant. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents. It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The Gilded case. It seems to me that this case of Mr. Windibank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry? I didn't quite catch what you said there. Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. Susato, you've been great. Are you kidding me? Jeez Louise. Do you know what time you'll leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible, even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hiya! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. She's so sweet! Oh my gosh. Susato-san. Oof. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. Oh, something's gonna happen with Urlock Sholmes, huh? Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine.
I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam. Oh. I don't really know what's happening there. But I'm interested. You're dang right I'm going to save my current progress. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets, and so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. It's court time. I do so love going to court. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it.
So where's your friend then?
Sorry?
You know, in the fancy dress. Susato, or however you say it. I don't know.
Ah, Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up.
You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off.
It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again, one day. You better!
Even so.
But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have.
Good morning, you two.
Yes, and you brought Waggy! Ah!
How are you feeling, Jenny? Did you manage to sleep?
Oh, look at that cutie patootie.
Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy?
Ah, Waggy!
Great way to show your support, kitty.
Let him have a nose around. What all I'm gonna do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here.
How much money do you have?
Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Bruno? Jenny?
Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
No, I always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad.
Wow.
Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities.
Let's not go there.
Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move.
Huh? The bad news was a weather report?
So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port.
Oh god, yes.
Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon, so even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later.
Okay, the good news wouldn't have made any sense without the bad news.
Well, that is good news, isn't it?
I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news canceled out the bad.
And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick purse plunder, see?
Sounds like they've already pinned it on Gina.
How you like that? Well, let them say what they want, see if I care.
I can't because you're covering your face.
Don't worry, Runa will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense.
I will?
And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be, Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno?
Oh, yes, let's hope so.
Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it?
It's like she was still here. I don't know how helpful that paper is going to be in all reality.
Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement.
With a rocket launcher, apparently. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you.
Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Jenny? Well, I was wondering is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up all right? Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come around yet.
Well, that's a lie. We saw him talking to Susato.
I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up.
I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news.
Oh, right.
So, no Susato-san and no Mr. Shones. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense, the trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom.
It's time then.
Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris.
Lead the way, Runo.
Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zieks. My lord, remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? I mean, it's gotta be specifically because Naruhodo's here, like, absolutely. In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago.
Yes, I'd just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I had known what a monster he was, I would never have defended him. Also, it looks like Iris can barely look over this bench. And secondly, even more loathsome. Those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies, only to effect a total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Japanese. Wow. What? Did he really just say that?
He means you now, Runo.
Yeah, I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zieks' eyes. Was that directed solely at me? Or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Very racist. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt of innocence of the defendant? Okay. Wait a second. We know juror number 1. We saw him in episode 4. We know juror number 2 from episode 3. Oh, juror number 4 is also the old man. Juror number 6 is that Russian terrorist that was supposed to be captured a long time ago. Juror number 5 is juror number 4 from, I also think it was episode 3, wasn't it? Or maybe it was episode 4. Can't remember. But there's only one new juror, and it's juror number 3. Former lieutenant in British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready.
Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think.
Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it.
I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible, but could I have?
Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Oh, okay, cool.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Okay.
Is something wrong, Bruno?
Oh, not exactly. It's just, I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact.
Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know?
So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zieks, the court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windibank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution prevents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder.
Oh. Man, I get so hungry during these. And you gotta have your tactical peanut butter on your desk, am I right? As the court will observe, there's a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. Huh. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. Okay, but I feel like there's a lot of people shorter than the accused. And shorter than the victim. The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed. The court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. Yeah. Huh. That photograph doesn't look like it would be a ton of help. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom, where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windibank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Okay, is that, like, assured, or are they just guessing? She's not a grubby little girl pickpocket anyway. She's one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. This wine comes from where exactly? My learned Japanese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. How... The witnesses were obviously involved in the shooting. Come on. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zieks. At once, my lord. There's signs of a single discharge, yeah. This isn't good.
I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo.
I think that's because it has.
Oh, the cloak's already off, I see. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder to Mr. Pop Windbank on 16th of April of this year. Okay, this might be kind of... Are you kidding me? Those just look like criminals. They literally look like criminals. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is, baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's, same as him.
Tobias Rexon, Scotland Yard Inspector.
That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers.
I don't think he's involved. What are you looking at me like that for? Don't lump me in with you lot.
Call blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? So, the bruv, lost contact with him we have, so we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night, we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo?
Oh, he is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him.
So, we decided there and then what we was going to do. We was going to call you Big Bruv Sulky.
Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin? And that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what are you doing in the witness stand? The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they, these three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle, and in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence. Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder.
Oh my god, he's so short. Could have been him.
Order! Order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With the Lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you'll now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question, and what exactly you saw.
Happy to. 'Cause a skulkin's never skulkin'.
Get out of it.
We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gaff's open door was ajar, you see. It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, God blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We wanted to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that nice and quiet.
A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within, only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes.
What's the matter, Bruno?
Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter that I was also there. But, whatever. I'm gonna need evidence.
Hold it!
That was not true. He locks the store. The front door of Windibank's was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Oh, but I guess Gina could have opened the door. Or Windibank could have opened it for Gina.
Must have been about 1, right, Ringo?
Yeah, I'll say so. Right, Sulky?
How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town.
Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker?
Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside, but that's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the enforcing the victim. That is pure conjecture. Perhaps. But it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside.
Right, that's what happened.
It was like some kind of sign. A gunshot, you say, but just the one. Are you sure about that?
Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv?
The firearm used belonged to the victim himself.
Yes, Mr. Windibank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter.
Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds.
That makes sense. Mr. Windibank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded.
That's true. I remember him saying that as well. So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. Yeah, the door is definitely locked from the inside. Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Including the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom.
Of course there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all.
That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think.
Well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh?
Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of 2 ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Japanese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. Even though I definitely, ran up to look at the door, but whatever. So I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. Where can I tear apart their testimony?
Hold it!
Let's talk about this, yeah? You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story?
Well, it was bedlam soon, wasn't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me loose lockets.
So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left, nice and quietly, you say?
That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me loosey lockets.
So, you'd clearly like us to believe...
Come again?
As soon as you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Yeah, at Urlock Sholmes.
Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway?
It was.
Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before?
You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes, that's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of its shot having been fired. Honestly, Van Zeeks, why did you bring these witnesses up? The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. Alright. Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Yes? Here's to successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there. However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. Well then, okay, if that's the argument you're going with, then how does witness testimony stand up? Like, why can what I say not be held viable in court, but witness testimony can be? That doesn't make sense, right? Like, you can't just take some people's words and not others. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. Do I have something like that? Do I have evidence? Well, actually, let me look at the paper. I wonder if it talks about Sholmes. Wait, what's happening here?
There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well, look.
Ministry Mole? Oh.
Ministry Mole? Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice.
For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news.
It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations.
Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that?
That's the question, isn't it? But I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo?
No, of course not. I wonder, perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday.
Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Gracie running from pillar to post at the moment.
Alright. Yeah, autopsy report. Yeah, I'm not sure what looks useful in this photo. Floor plan. The Windibanks gun. The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night? Well, you see... Was that when it was fired at Mr. Sholmes? No. I think it was bloody before I got there, wasn't it? Let's see, Mr. Sholmes is... Yeah, the McGilded Case, today's paper. Wow. I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm kind of lost on what evidence needs to be presented here. Would it be this? So I can show them the first one? Maybe, right? Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's really the only thing I have to go off of, huh? And can I present a specific one? No, I guess not. But these all come with photos, so...
Take that!
Oh, that wasn't right, was it? The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth have you there, Counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do? How arrogantly Japanese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein? Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, Counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? Right here.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Alright, I'm just too good of a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? Order! Does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zieks? Why would he? He never does it before. If that is direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hollowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street.
Eh? Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get them into the details. Tell them, Sulky. Set the bloke straight.
I'm the dad. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Japanese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks? As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brothers' gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. Ah. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. Wow, okay. So that's it.
That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Ash. We didn't. That's what I reckon.
They missed every single one except for the last one. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget, attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas?
Ah. We're in for it now, bruv.
Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appeared to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric? Says who?
Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop.
Oh! That's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? That has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device.
Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed.
The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the defense on the night in question. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here. And here.
Oh, that's where they are? Interesting.
You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help it if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera.
That's a bit of fried tuck, eh, bruv? Lady Luck loves a skulking.
Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin?
Must have been just after 1, right, bruv? Must have been, Nash. Must have been. Yeah, just gone 1.
In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment. What scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence.
Oh, Gina, come on.
It's the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Ah, dang it, Gina.
As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter, no doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
Son of a gun.
I don't believe it. Ginny!
In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Winbank.
Ah!
I say, my lord. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwan to 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words. One for all, and all for one.
Okay, so you're about to say all guilty then, is what I'm hearing.
The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. This is the Garradeb Squadron's position, sir.
What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment here.
Status report for the court, men, on the double.
His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too.
I think you'll find the truth as clear as day now. I could reach it, and I could reach out and touch it.
I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember.
Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop.
I am very sorry for the brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I can now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
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 Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
That was a much higher voice for juror number 5 than I would have imagined. It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already.
That photograph, it must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned.
But Jenny didn't shoot him.
No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination.
Very well. The court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty.
Oh boy.
All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketing team.
Wait, at this young... what did he say?
At this young pickpocketean.
As a household maid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated.
I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
If I have left it in there, I should think there'll be repercussions by now.
Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission, a verdict to follow. Stop.
In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. I am convinced brothers are innocent. The circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively.
I was saying that before. Definitely it's the Russian rebel guy in the jury. Like, it's gonna be weird. I wonder if he's gonna get outed.
The storeroom, locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. And in the accused's hands, the fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses. Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh dear, Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder.
I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you.
But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to the situation that we've yet to see.
Agreed.
Again, stop reading my thoughts. Why is everyone telepathic?
You have the floor, Cancel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Man, I will get right on it. Okay. Well, I don't know if there's anything I can pit with that. Filthy eyesores. Yeah, let's look in Stereoscope. I'm curious about this. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously. But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Oh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary. It's captivating. It's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes. I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives that we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. I think I actually used to have like an at-home stereoscope when I was like super young. If only it could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. Oh, I thought it would let me see the image in Stereoscope. But, I don't think it lets me do that. Like, I'm almost positive that it doesn't. There's nothing I can examine here. I just kind of have to look at everything. Oh, okay. Is there anything about Mr. Windibank's appearance here
that doesn't follow with the other print. Yeah, he's got the bow tie, the poofy sleeves, corduroy pants, nice vest. No, that really does look all the same, huh? Well, so be it then. Okay, did you leave something inside of a patient? Do not tell me you were the surgeon for Mr. Sholmes. Do not tell me that. What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that.
I'm so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon.
A surgeon? That totally passed me by.
Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors, oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field.
So, what is it that you think you've left behind?
Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing, to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. Standard thing. Went in through the abdomen. But when I'd finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere.
What? Did he... Surely not.
Exactly. Surely not, as you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? But what's been troubling me this whole time? Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really.
That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter.
That's exactly my concern. And seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere.
Now,
I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. Oh my god.
I'm sure you need to be more sure. I can't pit anybody against anybody here. What the heck? There's nothing helpful. Oh my god. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna start with you, I guess. You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garadeb, aren't you? We really must stop meeting like this.
Ah, you're that lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then.
Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything.
Can't be denied, I suppose. But the curse of the Garadeb house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up the tenancies. Oh. Haven't had the heart to break the news to Joni yet. Bad enough that the old girl's chap clapped up.
Oh, she's in prison?
Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot, but not for us, that's for dash certain.
I suppose not.
Of course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously.
Obviously, but honestly, I really wish he'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2. Wait, what? Hey! You're so right. Huh, I didn't even notice.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again. The maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pickposters, and crossmen. The scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. Or at least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Sherlock Sholmes? That's right. I'd like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Ranced magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Oh, okay. Mr. Sholmes, a maid? It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail, it was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Holmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright, I shall amend my statement. Oh, now you amend your statement. Is it anything even useful?
Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. Okay, so now it's about the brothers. Oh, but you... Looks like we can pit you two.
Objection!
Yes? Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself.
My statement contradictory?
Contradict. C-O-N.
Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick.
I do not have a stick. I have mouse.
As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene on the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Yes, they shot poor Mr. Holmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear.
Abdomen. Abdomen. A-B-D.
Sir?
Sorry. My English is still learning.
You are telling the court you didn't hear?
Forgive me, I did not hear. Here is word. Abdomen. Part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker.
Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again?
So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before, we never done nothing. The truth is, they shot detective. Duh. This is double negative.
Yes, that's exactly right.
No, the mouse! Don't hurt the mouse!
Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by person who looks like criminal.
Yeah. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced.
This means, when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also big fat lie. Is this true?
Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so...
Enough. I trust no one now.
It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. Yeah, stop doing that to the mouse.
I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself.
I'm afraid that won't be
Yes, it is, Runo. Easily.
Sorry?
With the prints from Hurley's red-handed recorder.
Ah.
If you compare the print that pictures Jenny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Mr. Prosecutor!
Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers' flight.
So this was taken after Hurley was shot, then? As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken.
That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print.
So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot man, but they stole nothing.
It would seem so, yes.
Good.
No, not good.
You were right. I did not understood situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial.
Oh. Okay, yeah, cool, man, thanks.
Hey! Well done, Runo! The balance is shifting.
Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we just might turn the situation to our favor still.
Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence.
Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. Yeah, will it let me do stereoscopic stuff? Oh, ow.
Oh yeah, it's much harder to be doing this, huh? I can't really tell at all. Oh no, the lamp. The oil lamp got messed up somehow. Oh, duh, there was shattered glass on the floor in the shop too. I knew that. Pretty sure a visible representation of the jurors' opinions in a courtroom is illegal as hell. Hey, look, man. This was back at the very beginning of having a jury in a court. Let's talk about you and this stereoscopic crap. I didn't mean to press, I meant to present. It's fine. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Yeah, okay. Sure. I already talked about all this, but... by any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Okay, cool. But will doing this let me get to the stereoscopic... No, it won't. No, I can't present anything. Let's see. Oh, I guess I haven't pressed you yet. I'll just go ahead and do that.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean?
Are you from the Far East?
Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan.
All communication with Far East nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail streamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Ah, but now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electric signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world.
Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed? It makes my head hurt just thinking about it. And we did the same thing for the internet, which is pretty cool.
You're well informed, young lady. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop.
And just when I was starting to catch up.
Radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over airwaves to 4 corners of globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop.
Right. Try not to wear out your fingers.
Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What utter piffle. I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys.
Ho ho.
Excuse me.
Juror number 3, sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess.
Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me?
I think he just might be, yes.
You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely. I mean, really. A machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions? Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional.
What a great way to appease the man.
No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all.
You just don't know.
Pardon?
I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never even noticed before. What?
Have you got any, Runo? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope?
Abso-freaking-lutely. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think. Skibbity-bop-em-dada.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints?
Of course I can.
Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate.
I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all.
Here you are, my good sir. Alright, these 2 prints were both taken with the same camera in Windbanks on the night in question.
Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer, do you know how stereographic images work? Did you understand the principle?
Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. Yep. You just get them to line up. Oh, you have to be looking straight on, I guess. Get them to line up. And yeah. There you have it. It works pretty well too once you understand how to get it working. Your brain just kind of takes care of the rest. Then when your brain merges the two images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly.
It's that small shift between certain objects in the two pictures that's really important.
So what happens if you use two photographs that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene three-dimensionally anyway.
Oh! Of course, now I see.
Ah, I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have! That cross-eyed look. So good.
Have another look at these two pictures from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on.
Yeah, I can see that the lamp is messed up. Is there, like, anything else that I need to notice?
Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them?
Let me see if I can actually get this to do what I want. Oh, that's so weird. The difference in the images comes out as like... Ooh. Oh, my brain doesn't like that, but that's really cool. Like, the effect is that sometimes when you're looking at the center image, like, it puts half of the differences in there, or none of them, or just like if you keep looking, it keeps changing, almost like a very, very slow flicker. Alright, so there's two people in the first one and none in the second.
Well, yes, you can see that straight away, but now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions.
Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes and then try to make the two pictures overlap exactly. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pins from each picture overlap in the middle. Oh, it's so funny, that's what I was actually using too. But yeah, it's the oil lamp. Wait.
Well, did you manage to see it properly, Runo?
Yeah, I saw it. Ah, what's going on with these two pictures? Some of the things on the counter sort of jump out at you.
Yes, that's it, you see. That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes.
Other amazing power? Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that, huh?
I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you answer your own question.
This is not what I thought was going to happen, but yeah, let's do it.
Basic principles of the stereoscope. As I said before, if you try to look at two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally.
In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures, I'm going to try it again just to see. Maybe I'm not looking straight on well enough. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would say it's jumping out at me, right? I can't seem to get it to line up as evenly as I want. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they do kind of jump out at you, huh? Whew! That's just kind of hard to do. This shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions.
Yes, there must have been.
But also, nobody cares about the lamp. Like, just nobody cares? Alright. Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of what this whole cross-eyed business is now, I'd say, but why the devil does this shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What? Me? I haven't the first idea.
You know, Runo, it's quite simple.
It is?
Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim.
So that means... That means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Zookers! Someone tampered?
New information. Stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far. Stop.
Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were removed, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter. I mean, either one of these, right? I mean, who else would have caused it?
Take that!
It's gotta be these two. It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Dude, please put the mouse down.
Wait. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrase book says dukes is meaning hands, and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you are saying?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Now hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that.
I quite agree. The accused is a common pickpurse, after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal.
I think that's unlikely.
And why exactly?
As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's earnest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony.
The accused is a pickpurse, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here?
Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact worse, than pickpurse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by these two thieves?
Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair.
He uses his head because he's all gloved up. Man.
Can you all see now? I think you'll find Stereoscope's art playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand.
We just need one more.
Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
By the way, who are you communicating with exactly? Like, I don't know where that telegram is supposed to be headed. But whatever, I guess.
Well, it would seem this trial has yet to run its course. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call the summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue.
Yay! Well done! Oh, by the way,
What?
you should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful.
Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. We'll see.
Lord Van Zieks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them.
I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. I've won myself another chance to probe that pair without their activities, that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Alright. I do so like ending streams at the to be continueds. So, that's probably going to be it for now. And I'll resume this definitely tonight or tomorrow. Because once I'm done with Great Ace Attorney, or at least this part of the game, I'll be moving on to Glyph, just for a change of pace. Which recently came out, because I loved it when I played the demo, like, you know, a month ago or whenever it was. So I cannot wait to play the full game. Yeah, I don't need to save, it's fine. So anyway, remember to eat lunch, guys. Have a good day, and see you next time.